A FAQ on IRS procedures, tax planning, tax preparers' responsibility, and tax scams. What is abatement? Failure to file or pay on time results in the IRS releasing a taxpayer from their obligation to pay penalties. If the taxpayer had a reasonable reason and did not neglect their responsibilities in a willful manner. What is AMT, or alternative minimum tax? A tax that is calculated separately from the regular income tax is in place to prevent tax preferences from being abused. Tax preference items are specific types of income that can be used to calculate the alternative minimum tax, AMT. AMT was created to prevent certain taxpayers from escaping their fair share of tax liability by taking advantage of tax breaks like preferential items. What are the projected or estimated payments? Taxpayers who do not have enough paycheck withholding to cover their tax liability are required to make tax deposits. What are the consequences of failing to file penalties for a taxpayer? If tax returns are not filed by the due date, even with extensions granted, there are consequences for taxpayers. What is the impact on taxpayers when penalties are not paid? Taxpayers who have not paid their tax return by the original due date will face consequences. What qualifies as a frivolous tax return? If the tax return lacks sufficient information to determine the correct tax liability, it will result in a significantly incorrect tax calculation that is based on a frivolous position. It may be due to a taxpayer's desire to hinder tax collection. What is the IRS definition of hardship? The IRS allows the taxpayer to postpone making payments on their outstanding debts if they are unable to pay. Installment payments are an option for taxpayers. What is the definition of an installment agreement? An agreement with the IRS permits the taxpayer to make monthly payments or any other installment methods of tax liability. By reducing or eliminating penalties or interest, it can be concluded without fees. What is the offer in compromise? A taxpayer's proposal for paying off their tax debt for a lesser amount than what they owe. What constitutes tax structuring? The act of conducting financial transactions in a specific way to avoid financial reporting obligations. What constitutes tax structuring? The act of conducting financial transactions in a specific way to avoid financial reporting obligations. What constitutes tax avoidance? Minimizing tax liability through legal arrangements and transactions. What are the consequences of tax evasion? To avoid paying taxes, people intentionally use omissions, arrangements, and transactions that are not allowed by the relevant tax authority. What does tax planning entail? The action of minimizing and deferring tax liabilities by considering the tax consequences of future events. What is the penalty for recovering trust funds? The IRS has taken steps to encourage prompt payment of withheld income and employment taxes. Contact us. Telephone number 5168-223-100-6316-235-100. Email address, support@infotaxsquare.com. Website, infotaxsquare.com. Office address, 2310 Hempstead Turnpike, Suite 3, East Meadow, New York 11554. Thank you and God bless you.